Hi, I'm Jerry Carter with the Sierra Crest Business Law Group, and today we want to talk about contracts. A lot of business owners have questions about what makes a valid, enforceable contract. And sometimes they just want to know, am I bound by this agreement that someone says I'm bound by? Or other times they want to know, can I enforce this agreement against somebody? And so I want to talk about the elements, the 4 elements of a valid Nevada contract. Now, one question that we get a lot related to the elements of a valid contract is, does the contract need to be in writing? And the answer is, you can have a purely verbal agreement. You can have a conversation with somebody and offer to do something. If they do something for you, they can say yes, or they can go ahead and accept by doing what you said you wanted them to do. And you can agree on what was going to be done, and there's a flow of consideration going both ways. And so you can have a perfectly enforceable and valid oral agreement. Of course, as we all know, you can also have a perfectly valid and enforceable written agreement. You can write it all down. Everybody can sign on the line that is dotted, and you can have an agreement. You can even write it down and not sign on the line that is dotted, but have a written, you could maybe write it on the back of a napkin. This is what I'm going to do, this is what you're going to do. And if you go ahead and perform and do things that you wrote on the back of the napkin, that can very well end up being an enforceable agreement. And then one thing that some people don't realize is you can have a written agreement, and then you can have discussions later where you verbally agree to modify that agreement or update that agreement, what have you, and you can have a common, and that can be enforceable. And so you can have an agreement that is partially in writing and partially verbal. And so that's why it's always important to go back to the 4 elements of a contract: the offer, the acceptance, the meeting of the minds as to what you're agreeing on, and the flow of consideration, because those things can happen with words spoken out loud as well as words written on a page, and sometimes with a combination of both. So that makes it all the more important when you're making agreements, making promises, to have a qualified business lawyer at your side to help you and guide you through that process, not only of making the agreements, but performing your obligations under the agreement and enforcing or requiring the other party to perform their obligations under the agreement. So serious stuff. If you're a serious business person, I invite you to come have a conversation with us about what you need to do to make sure you're protected when you're making agreements and also when you're performing and enforcing agreements.